seized of the knowledge that this child is 16. It means that you have before you, presented to you, the obvious commission of a crime. Why is there not in the Sexual Offences Act a provision which obliges persons who come to that knowledge to report such matters to the police? Obviously, you want more proof that there has been a crime committed against this child. She's having a baby. She had a baby because she was violated. You have a situation where the mothers or the guardians are aware that these children are being violated. The matter goes before the court. While the case is being ventilated, it is learned that the mother knew or ought to have known that the child was being violated, yet took no step. I would like very much to see a situation where the Sexual Offences Act is amended to include such a situation so that a person, a mother or a guardian, who knows that a child is being violated by usually a relative or someone they know, or sometimes a stepfather in a, you know, whatever situation, and they permit this to go on, usually for economic reasons, but whatever reasons they are wrong because the person knows and has condoned a criminal act. And such persons must be made culpable under the law.
We cannot just close our eyes or do like the parents whose daughter was molested and go in denial and said it's not happening. I see no reason why a stepfather has to sexually molest his daughter, his stepdaughter, or a father. If you want sex, there are women all about the place. Please don't destroy our children, because you destroy these children for life.
As relates to Article 19 and sexual abuse, there is now increased reporting.
And when we look back at 85, with only 5 reported cases, we're ending up in 2001 with close to 300 cases.
Between April and August 2002, Christian Children Fund received reports of sexual abuse in Dominica. 93% of the abusers were family members.
Just looking at the last year's figures, that is in 2001, we had normally the cases these are only the cases that were reported to the Child Abuse Prevention Unit. What we normally do is get the cases from the police and we put it together with that, and we have the total figure. But I'm looking now at only what was reported to the Welfare Division, which were really 155 cases. Of the 155 cases that were reported to the division, 96 were sexual abuse. 96 cases. Of these 96 cases, 22 were incest. So, you know, so that is, because, you know, that is what we see happening. 96 were sexual related and 22 were incest. Of the 96, 16 were boys. So we do have a case of where young boys are sexually abused. We know because homosexuality is something which is taboo in our society. It doesn't come out easily. And I can say when we talk of 96 being sexually related, we can maybe multiply that by 10. Be it emotional neglect, even where sometimes they are ignored, not taken, no one pays any notice to them of some very hurtful things being said to them. Emotional abuse is, to me, to my mind, I find it very high, but least reported. We see our neglected children when they do not attend school, or sometimes also when they may have they need medical attention, they're not taken to the hospital or to the clinic or whatever it is. But we have neglect too in what you would call the white collar, where the child is given everything they may need. All the food, all the clothes, they're at school, everything, but the need for their parents, you know, the need for their parents to be present with them, the need for direction, the need for love. And we find that this now is material things are taking the place of that.
Boys are being abused also. The male child is also at risk. And so we live in a culture where such incidents will not easily come to the open, you know, because of the nature of the offense and the type of challenge a child would face if that comes to the open.
Some of them never come back into their own. They either end up introverts, they end up nymphomaniacs, or they're just on the street prostitutes, or they just don't care, or they hate men for life.
I feel if I see him and I could kill him, I will kill him. And I promised myself that when I'm 18, that I'll have sex for the first time. Well, after it, I feel scared. I don't really want to go out sometimes. I know I should forgive and forget, but I can't.
As relates to developing a protocol of reporting, what is the path of reporting when a child is abused?
A child tells a friend sometimes. That friend may tell the teacher, and the teacher will tell maybe the principal, and then the principal will call the welfare division for assistance for that particular child.
And the child tells a friend, who tells a teacher. The teacher tells the principal calls welfare, and welfare gets in touch with the police. There's another route. The child tells an aunt or a neighbor, who then call welfare, and welfare calls the police. We sometimes hear of the child reporting it straight to the police. When this is done, this is brave. But seldom do we hear of the child reporting a sexual abuse case to his or her mother.
For those children who have not gone and reported it, they may not have seen it as abuse. They've seen it as their mother does not provide for them, their mother does not care whether they have money to eat, they're tired of begging for food or money to buy their projects for school, their craft material. They're tired of begging and not going to beg anymore, so they don't see it as abuse. They see it as survival.
So I think a lot of times people don't report because they really are not aware that it's a crime, and for some people it's just not a crime. In some families it's been a cycle. You know, you speak to some people, you know, or you hear conversations out on the street, and you understand that some persons, the entire family, especially all of the girls, have been victims of incest. So how do we break that? Where do we go?
There's another institution that determines the results of the flow of information, and that's the family court. St. Vincent has one.
I'm happy to see that we now are coming to get our family court finally.
Then at least, you know, you have the support system in place. You have your counselors working, you have your legal persons working, you know, the social welfare department, the police. So we have that kind of network happening.
However, something's happening between reporting the case and the court appearance.
I have heard of cases where children where their parents exchanged money for cases like these, turn around later and say, this part of the house belongs to me because it's the money you obtain that built this part of the house. So that itself sends the message.
I was privy to one situation where it was the father that was involved. And the child was sent from the country to live with her father and her stepmother. The mother was somebody who made voyages overseas and was quite happy to have the man's daughter. The mother, the wife, may or may not have known of what was happening prior to the mother and the family finding out. But it was the wife who came up with the $600 check and said, here, take it and let everything go away. But my question to the mother, who was quite willing to take the check, was, do you realize that if you accept that check, you have, with one swoop, turned your daughter into a prostitute, that she's being paid for favors rendered? How could you possibly live with that? I do know that the matter never went further.
As far as we've observed, the Sexual Offences Act has to be enforced in all the territories. Alex Boyd Knight makes a further recommendation. She wants a section included in the Sexual Offences Act that makes it an offense for anyone to impede the course of justice. That is before the court hearing. And what of the perpetrator?
The tendency again has been in the society that we lock up the perpetrator and we throw away the key. But the perpetrator also has family, also has friends and relatives who is especially traumatized just as the way the victim is. And we're going to have to begin to help on both fronts.
When a child has been robbed of an innocence in that way, she of herself is a walking time bomb. And so that is why, you know, you say that the perpetrator may need help, but the victim needs a lot of help.
And what of this long discourse on sexual abuse? Is it all about power?
I think that another point of power is popularity. If I am popular and you are nothing, a girl would faster have sex with me than you.
Is that I have absolute authority, so to speak, over you, and you are the minor, and I can do whatever you want to do, because not only do I have the power, I also hold the keys to your development in whatever form. I could choose not to feed you. I could choose not to clothe you. I have the decision-making powers whether or not I send you for an education. So you're totally dependent on this adult or this group of adults for your optimum development.
I would like to point to a moral decadence. I really would like to. I'm a medical person, and that one may expect to have heard a medical reason put forward as a number. I think it has to do with a moral decadence.
Why would a mother look at her daughter and say, "Ah, I like your earrings, lend me them"? Where did they come from? You understand me? Where did those earrings come from? Be surprised the mother will wear those earrings to church even. Then they're responsible for the abuse or the sexual maltreatment that that particular child may have to suffer for those earrings.
Sadly, this cycle just repeats itself. You know, the stepfather has been molesting this child. Her self-esteem has become so low. Very soon, she gravitates to a man. Sometimes it's somebody older, because she has that missing father figure in her. And she wants love because she's not getting any love. A lot of the stepfathers and even the parents do feel once they provide 3 meals for a child and a shelter, that is love. That is not all.
Too often I have seen this, and I know that it happens, where an adult, female or male, will touch a child on her breast. "Oh, you're growing, you know, you're getting big, you know," or they'll touch them in their private parts. And it's supposed to be okay because it's my mother. And I think the children have got to be able to reach a point where they say, "This is my body, excuse me, you are not to touch me there." And they should not be reprimanded for being rude. This is for their protection.
Yes, I'm a mother of 4, and I think mothers need to listen. You ask what you've been looking for, but I would say listen. When children talk, and they talk about not liking somebody or not liking to go to a certain place, you should not ignore it. Do not deny that you hear it. Zero in on it and let the child speak more about it. Even before that, develop a relationship with your children. Talk with them and set up an atmosphere where they can come very easily and talk with you about what's happening in their lives. Children do want to talk to adults. When they're sexually abused, they're very distressed. They want to share it. But if they are going to meet blank faces or people that are going to chastise them, or they're not going to come forward. So mothers need more than ever to develop that kind of atmosphere where children will come to them, and they need to keep a listening ear out. If your child says, "Yes, this is happening to me," the child may come out and say, "Look, so-and-so had sex with me." But they're going to express a kind of fear of being in that person's company, of going down to where that person is. You need to very quickly pick that up and investigate.
We need to look at certain little things like, you know, we have a child and suddenly the child begins wetting her bed. She is long past that from 3 years, and she's now 9 years, and she begin wet in her bed. Why? Maybe the first thing you would have to do is take her to a medical doctor. You